people in the audience here in the theater, but tonight, obviously, I just have a camera. Decided to do a little bit of a Halloween theme, to have a little bit of fun. And anyway, it is October, and leaves are falling, and so on and so forth. Anyway, I'm here tonight to talk a little bit about TOK. You may have heard your kids talk about TOK. TOK stands for Theory of Knowledge. What is theory of knowledge? Well, theory of knowledge, to put it very shortly, is a class, a critical thinking class about learning how we construct our knowledge. It's about trying to figure out how we know what we know, and why, when we know something, we can say that we actually know it. Okay. Some people would call it a philosophy class, and that's not altogether untrue. But it's not philosophy per se. It's taking the good bits from philosophy and packing it into an IB curriculum. So if you were to call it a philosophy course, you would probably call it epistemology. Anyway, so, okay, as you know, if you're watching this, your kids are probably in the IB program. And so theory of knowledge is one of the core subjects within the IB program. It's one of the subjects that every single solitary IB student, 120,000 of them or so plus per year, have to take. And so it's the only one that every single solitary student has to take. So this shows a little bit of the sort of, I guess you could say, the weight that IB puts on that course. Why is it the central sort of core course which everyone needs to take? Well, it's trying to teach kids to think for themselves. It's trying to teach people to not be fooled by propaganda, by false news, whatever side of the sort of, world that is on. It's trying to teach people not to believe things they hear without having a good reason to believe them. You might argue that it's one of the most important courses that any student could take because it teaches them thinking skills which hopefully will go beyond the classroom and will instead be carried with them throughout their entire life. And when they see things, they'll have the ability to filter them. It doesn't mean denialism or nihilism or anything like that. It doesn't mean that at all. What it means is critical thinking. Because face it, there's a lot of things out there we're being told which are probably not necessarily true. I mean, it's especially apparent during this COVID crisis that we've all been dealing with. And so it's very relevant and it's very pertinent to the times. It always is, because there's always something like that going on. But so, what is it the kind of things that we do? Well, okay, so the IB curriculum is the IB course of theory of knowledge is built up into areas of knowledge, like that. Yay for editing programs. Areas of knowledge and ways of knowing. Okay, and so areas of knowledge are, not necessarily in this order, but ethics, history, natural science, mathematics, human science, religious knowledge systems, indigenous knowledge systems, and the arts. Okay? There's 5 of them. We need to do 6 of those. Okay? The ways of knowing are reason, emotion, language, perception, memory, imagination, intuition, and faith. All right. And so the ways of knowing are really kind of filters. It's not like the ways of knowing. You can't only have reason, or you can't only have emotion. I mean, when we are emotive about something, we perceive it first, and usually it's in the form of a language or whatever. So everything mixes together. So the ways of knowing are kind of filters through which we view the areas of knowledge. So what we're doing, I'll give you some examples of things, of the kind of stuff that we would talk about TOK. So let's say history. Right now I'm doing a review of history for the TOK class. So let's say in history, if anything that we say that we know about World War I in history, or let's go back even further, let's say the Civil War, the American Civil War in history. Nothing that we say that we know about it, we've experienced ourselves. So why do we say we know things about it? Why do we believe one version over another version? What is it? How is that knowledge created when no one alive has experienced it? Why do we believe it? What's the reason? Why do we believe it was about emancipation instead of it just being about not emancipation? You know, that's an active debate that's going on about the Civil War. And so these are the kind of things, and it's not denialism. It's not denying all accounts. It's trying to understand why we say that we know things when we haven't experienced it ourselves. That's kind of one example of another thing. Another thing would be, like, let's say mathematical knowledge. Mathematical knowledge is based upon unprovable axioms. I mean, how can we know something which is unprovable? And it's kind of an interesting thing. So every single bit of mathematical knowledge is based upon unprovable axioms. And this is very philosophical. It's a philosophical standpoint. We talk about that type of stuff. Those are the types of things we do. Okay? So I'm supposed to keep this brief, which is hard for me because I'm kind of a ham. But so anyway, so another thing. So as far as assessment is concerned, the students will do an essay on some prescribed topics, which they get every year, and those are out. You can ask your student to show them to you. The students also have to do a presentation. The essay makes up 2/3 of the grade. The presentation makes up 1/3 of the grade. This is for the IB. We give some participation points and stuff in the class as well. Okay? So that's kind of what the idea is. You can always ask me or one of the other teachers what that, it looks like and stuff like that, or, so that's always a possibility. I'm going to link I'm going to put some information up here behind me about contact and who are the teachers and stuff like that. There's 3 teachers. They're doing things with their departments right now, and so I decided to take upon TOK and do it myself. And so that's the kind of stuff that we do. I think I've probably run over time already. Another thing I wanted to say is, if you're interested in what your kids are doing in TOK, take a look at my YouTube channel. It's called School of Super Fido. I'm making a whole bunch of videos for TOK. It's one of the ways that I want to do things this year. Since we can't be here, I kind of want to emulate the classroom, although I don't dress up like I do in the videos in the classroom. That'd be silly. But still, I'm having fun with it, and I think your kids are enjoying it. So anyway, thank you. And by the way, go Hawks! Woo! Anyway, so thank you, and have a nice evening.